morning, and good morning, my muffin to say brothers and sisters. I hope you guys are doing awesome today. I'm doing pretty awesome. I'm really excited. Hey, we got One Punch in the house. Fantastic. I do think we have microphone audio, which is awesome as well. So it's good to see everybody. For some reason, I couldn't get the TikTok chat to work. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. At some point, you just got to say whatever and go with it. And that's what we're doing. So, man, we're going to hang out. Ugh, itchy nose. We're going to hang out. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do a thing. As you saw, the topic of today's conversation is Karen culture. And boy, I can't wait to hear your take on Karen culture, because I don't have any clue what I'm going to talk about here. I mean, I kind of know. Because there are a couple of interesting pieces of Karen culture that have happened in the past month or so that I think are a little bit on the fun side that we could definitely talk about. Like, yeah, But we're not talking about any of the political stuff. I can guarantee you that I will stay as far away from that as possible, because this sort of live stream is meant to welcome people. We're supposed to have fun. We're supposed to talk about stuff that really doesn't matter. And, depending upon which side of the aisle you are on that one, some people will say it doesn't matter, and other people say it means everything. So we're certainly not going to get into that. The description needs to be edited. I don't know. What was the description? I don't remember. Grab a cup of Joe and let's talk about... Yeah, it probably does. Let's talk about stuff. There we go. Boom. Edited. It can be, but the problem with it is that 50% of the country will say, sure, yeah, let's just do it. And 50% of the country will hate you for doing it. So it's better just to not alienate 50% of your audience and all that stuff. So I'm not going to do any of that. I'm going to sit here and have fun and, do a thing. However, I'm interested to know why most of the Karen people out there are women. Does anybody have a theory on why most of the Karens that we see in videos and everything else are women? This is not going to be a sexist argument. I'm just curious. Why are men not out there just being complete idiots and doing stuff like that? I don't understand why it's mutually exclusive to the ladies, to the point where they've even named the whole thing Karen, which is obviously a female name. I think that's kind of fascinating. The other thing is, so if you don't know the story of the thumbnail, which is essentially Philly's Karen, what happened was Harrison Bader hit a home run in Florida. I believe it was in Florida Marlins Stadium. And a Philly fan guy ran over, grabbed, managed to get the fly ball, take it back to his kid, drop it in his hand, the whole 9 yards. Apparently it was his kid's birthday, all that sort of stuff. So, very cool. Kid got a freaking home run ball from Harrison Bader on his birthday. Well, lo and behold, this woman in a Philly shirt comes over and just chastises him, talking about how that's my ball, it was in my seat, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, the guy, he just doesn't want to create a scene. It's his kid's birthday. He doesn't want any trouble. So he grabs the ball out of his kid's hands, hands it to Philly's Karen, who then goes back to her seat and gets booed mercilessly, and then acts probably like an even worse human being once she gets back to her seat, antagonizing the crowd and everything else, before I think eventually she left due to potentially just, maybe not feeling as safe as she could have been. But a person like that has no reason to feel safe when they act like that. So I'm fine, whatever. I don't really care, because there's an unwritten rule. I'm sorry, but there is. You could be a grown-ass man at a baseball game, right? and you wrestle for the ball and you grab it and you hold it up and you celebrate and then you hand it to a kid. That's the unwritten rule. That's what you do. That's called society, the hierarchy. You were the man. You grabbed the ball, you celebrated for your 30 seconds, and then you gave it to somebody that it really matters to. That's what you do. That's how this works. So the fact that Philly's Karen doesn't understand how it works just shows you how out of touch Karens are. But holy mackerel, I just cannot believe that this woman thought that somehow this was going to be a good thing to go steal a ball out of a kid's hand, you know? But the thing that boggles my mind even more, this one really, really gets me. How do we not know who Philly Karen is by this point? Because trust me, her friends know who she is. Her work people know who she is. I'm sure she follows or has followed some people on, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. They know who she is. How does America not know who Philly's Karen is? Because the YouTube sleuths, man, they're like 100 for 100. They do not miss. They find these people, they weed them out, and then they shame them. And boy, I'm telling you right now, the people want their pound of flesh with Philly's Karen, and for some reason, she has eluded their pound of flesh. Nobody has found her. Nobody knows who she is. That, honestly, boggles my mind. I don't know how that's possible. Now, I'm pretty sure that, if I was Philly's Karen, I'd be hiding under a rock and I would never go back on social media and all that sort of stuff. But then again, who knows? I mean, let's be honest, she certainly showed no remorse after she took the ball away from the kid and celebrated at her seat and all that stuff and, whipped the bird around the crowd. So she certainly didn't feel like she did anything wrong. Maybe when she got home and she saw the unbelievable backlash of everybody in the United States who understands how you're supposed to, what you're supposed to do with a baseball at a ballpark, maybe then she had a little bit of regret. But it's always that, well, she doesn't regret that she did it. She just regrets that she got caught doing it. That's kind of how all of this stuff almost always works. And that's why the shaming process is so debilitating for these folks. And that's why I'm so completely shocked that we don't know who Philly's Karen is. How is that possible? 3 weeks after this actually happened, that we don't know who this person is. So that's open for discussion, because I'd like for you guys to tell me, why don't we know who this person is? How have we somehow managed to not know who Philly's Karen is? I don't know. Also, I want to know why Karens are always women. Why are there so many women who feel so entitled to everything? Why are there not men doing this? I mean, it just seems logical that men would be behaving just as badly as women do. I mean, there are plenty of idiot men out there. Why is it that men seem to know better and women don't care? They just don't. I don't understand it. So what is the story behind that? Because to me, that one kind of boggles my mind. I don't understand why the whole that whole thing is specifically women. So that's kind of the subject matter that I wanted to talk about today. And if you have any insight or information or thoughts on Karen culture, now is the time. Let me know about it. Let me know about it. Because to me, it's fascinating. And, obviously the Philly's Karen one is the most recent big event that's happened around that sort of thing. But there's certainly been plenty in the past. And why do people feel like they're entitled to act like this, first of all? And secondly, how do they not know they're going to get filmed? How do these folks not understand that somebody is going to catch them in their worst moment? Now, I've made this abundantly clear. My personal position on cancel culture in general is that we're catching these people at literally their worst moment, you know? And 9 times out of 10, they don't get the benefit of any sort of doubt or anything like that. You know, we're not in the business of giving people the benefit of the doubt. That's just not how we work in the US or in society in general. So when we catch these folks in their worst possible moment, and then cancel culture gets in full gear and essentially destroys their lives, well, it's kind of like, I don't know. A lot of people would say, well, it's not cancel culture, it's consequence culture. And I'm not sure I don't disagree with that. I think your words should matter. I think you should think about what you say before you say it. I don't think that you should ever say anything that's intentionally meant to harm someone else. However, if you're stating facts or you're reading off facts or something like that, well, I'm sorry, sometimes facts hurt people's feelings, but it doesn't make them less factual. So that's definitely not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is these people who feel so entitled that they're just going to roll up on somebody and give them the what's what in front of cameras and not have any guilt about it. To me, that makes no sense. I don't even know how that works. So, yeah, that's my thing. I remember reading a couple of weeks ago about this woman who was with a party of 3 in a big restaurant and created an absolute scene to the point where the restaurant finally asked them to leave. Of course, they refused and were indignant and just being entitled jerks. So the cops were called. And so the cops got there, and the cops don't care. They don't want to be there either. All they want is to honor the restaurant owner's wishes and eject these people from the restaurant. That's their only goal. They're essentially considered trespassing, and they just want them to leave. And this entitled woman apparently is in some sort of position of power, like she's the assistant district attorney in whatever location they're at, and she just keeps yelling at the cop, "I'm the DA." Like somehow that entitles her to act like a moron. And, don't get me wrong, these people acted atrocious. They acted absolutely atrocious and embarrassed themselves. But, they just did whatever they did, and it was all caught on camera. And is it possible that these people are not actually like insufferable, entitled jackbags all the time? I think it's possible, but they certainly ain't going to get the benefit of the doubt. I actually think One Punch that she probably did and probably deserved to lose her job. Because if your frame of mind is, I have a position of power, therefore I cannot be, in any way told what's what. If that's how you work, you've already achieved too much power because you don't know how to handle it, and you should not be working in that position. And I stand firmly on that. A person like that who's going to use their position of power in a situation where they're causing a scene at a restaurant, no, you just lost that position of power. You should be mixing milkshakes at McDonald's. That's what you should be doing after that. Because no. However, should they be condemned for all time for their actions? I don't know. Like I said, this could literally have been just her worst day ever. She just had they were out partying. Maybe they was celebrating something important and things got out of hand. She got filmed on literally her worst day ever. And should she never get the benefit of the doubt for that? I don't know. I think in some ways we're a little harsh. Now, then you look at the Philly's Karen incident, and it's like, should she be judged ridiculously harshly? Yes. Hell yes. There was no reason why she had to do what she did. Let's see. A person like that will find a way to mess up even in McDonald's. Yep, you're not wrong. I mean, I'm really frustrated with just entitled people in general. We're not entitled to anything. We really aren't. In this world, we are entitled to nothing. Nothing. Nobody has to treat us well. Nobody has to be nice to us. Nobody has to give us anything. Nobody owes us anything. We create the situation around us by surrounding ourselves with good people, with good intentions, and treating those people with dignity and respect. Because if you treat most people with kindness and respect and dignity, they're gonna give it back. I mean, I'm sure even Philly's Karen, if you treat her with dignity and respect, might actually give you some of that back. But obviously she wasn't hugged enough as a kid or something like that, which made her feel entitled to, just chastise people in an open forum with cameras watching. I don't know. I really don't understand the mindset. I really don't understand the mindset. See, there are people who will go out to dinner, and irregardless of whether they're in a hurry or whether they just went out to enjoy themselves or whatever, they will find something about that dinner that will ruin their night because they just can't let it go. The food was bad. The service was slow. My drink was weak. Whatever. They're just going to find something to complain about. There are people like that. And I'm not one of those people. In fact, neither is Monica. We are the kind of people who go out on a Friday night every single week to whatever restaurant we go out to, and sometimes we get poor service. And sometimes the drinks are weak. And sometimes the food's not great. And we have never, ever, ever once let it ruin our evening. Or even mentioned it more than, man, this burger is not very good. Oh well, so what? We go out to enjoy each other's company, to enjoy the atmosphere of the restaurant, and we always get good service from waiters and waitresses, at least from a friendly perspective. I mean, sometimes they suck and they never come back, but the point is, we always have conversation with the waiter or waitress. We always go out of our way to make sure that they know we're going to be the table that's going to treat them with respect and have some fun. We go out of our way to do that because I feel like if you go out of your way to treat people right, they will go out of their way to give you a good experience. That's just the way that I feel. So, you can leave the restaurant and complain and bitch and whine or whatever, and maybe they even give you a free meal. But if you made that much of a scene, do you really want a free meal from that restaurant? Is that a thing that you actually want? I don't know, not particularly, So, yeah, you're exactly right. We make the best of our day. We make the best of our time together, and we don't allow other people's bad days to get in the way of ours. In fact, we go out of our way to try to make sure that another person's bad day might get a little better just because they ran into us. And there you go. You just, I don't know. It's a philosophical thing. And there are people out there who are just miserable, and they're going to be miserable no matter what. And I don't know how to fix those people. I don't know if there is a way to fix those people. Can you just provide amazing love and support and just all that stuff to them? Does doing that give you the opportunity to maybe turn their attitude around, turn their mindset around? Maybe, if you do it long enough. But I can tell you one thing that's not going to change a person, not in any significant way: canceling their ass on the internet. Anytime that this happens, somebody gets fired for something that happened on the internet or something. Hey, we don't live in that world where these people don't blame you. They don't think they did anything wrong. They think it's your fault they got fired. They acted like an idiot. They did stupid things, and it's your fault that they got fired. So they didn't learn anything. They're just more angry now than they were before because they didn't learn anything. But the thing is people like that in society, do they even belong? Should we even tolerate it? I think that's why they get fired, because we shouldn't tolerate it. We shouldn't allow it. We shouldn't allow that person in our inner circle or in our orbit that just wants to complain and bitch and ruin everything. There's no room for that. There's no point in that, because there's always something good. There's always something good. Even when the cancer patient eventually dies, you can say, thank God they're not suffering anymore. You know? You can celebrate the things that they did in their life. It's not all bad. You know, it's not good. It's not good. Nobody loves that. Nobody wants to see a loved one or someone that, you know, die. However, it's not all bad. Even death is not all bad. So, you know, these people that can't find anything good to say about anybody else and just are miserable, walking through life, ruining everybody else's day, I don't think there's any room for those people, to be honest. Let's see. They were entitled since day one. Parents didn't do a good job teaching them to be responsible, and now we have to suffer with them. You're not wrong. And not just responsible, but respectful. Respectful. You're not the only human. You're not the only human. The other humans around you have the right to exist, have the right to have bad days, have the right to have good days, have the right to be respected. Everyone does. And I don't understand how people grew up not understanding that you treat people the way that you want to be treated. It's a weird world we live in, that's for sure. That's for sure. But that's my, that's my opinion. Oh, hello, Trevor 210. Good to see you, my friend. All right, so I think that's it. I think I said my piece. I would really love for someone else to chime in on their spot on cancel culture. I do appreciate the fact that One Punch came in here, hung out with me today to give his thoughts and opinions. That means a lot. So thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. I am going to, I'm going to wrap this up because this has been Muffin to Say, and we've had a hell of a good time. A little bit of a later Muffin to Say than normal, I do admit, because, stuff is happening. Stuff is happening. But that's okay. That's okay. When stuff happens, we make the best of it. I'm glad it's been fun, One Punch. We're going to grow this thing. We're going to start with you and some other brothers, and we're going to grow it. It's going to be awesome. I am going to be releasing content on these channels, especially now that I'm not going to be doing the 10K challenge videos, which were taking up literally 50 to 60 hours of my week and not performing. I'm going to do some things on these channels that I'm really excited about. So I'm going to be doing some really fun stuff. These channels are like, I'm not giving up on the 10K challenge. I'm just not going to film it and put it on the channel because it's not performing. So I still will be here live streaming, maybe not every day, but probably 3 days a week, maybe 2 days, somewhere in that realm. I will be here live streaming, and I'm really excited to keep doing it. I'm going to keep having fun, and we are going to release some actual recorded content on here. It's going to be straight up pop culture, comedy type stuff. I think one of the first things we're going to do is some fun with AI, and I'm really hopeful and excited that it's as good as I think it's going to be, but we're going to see. We're going to see. You're going to get to see me at my absolute sarcastic, raging worst. And hopefully it's funny. I don't know. We're going to see. but we're going to do it anyways, because that's what we do. I love you guys. Thank you so much for anyone who came and hung out with me today. You guys on TikTok, man, you gotta pump up the volume. We want to hear you over here in live streaming world. So hopefully we get some of that. But this has been a good one. We've got people popping in and out, doing all kinds of stuff, and I love it. I love it. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. We're going to see you in the next one for sure.